Come on. Hello, got one here. Make sure you hit the one. So just give hit the like button. Hit the like button as we walk in, because those are free. They don't cost any money. You must love me. You come here and hit the like button. Yeah, 3 y'all. Hit the like button. That's 3 likes. Come on. Hit them all. There you go. I got 1 there. You need 2 more. 2 more. 2 more. Come on. You got 1. You still got to do all 2. You need 2 more. Hit the like button.
Sushi at Go Long changed our 2-minute situation, and I'm not even embarrassed to admit it.
Oh my God, we're going there.
Can we be real? Sometimes it's
All
over.
right, come on. Oh. Like.
What's up, guys?
Come on.
Hey, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm starting to think that Operation Allies Welcome didn't actually bring in our allies. You know, it's just nothing like looking into the eyes of these guys and thinking, you know, these are our allies, you know? It's like this guy, you see him walking down the street staring at your kids just like this. You're like, these are our allies. These are the best people. These are the people I want to be raising my kids around. These are the individuals that I definitely want making bombs and planning on blowing up my fellow countrymen. They're saying it on a live stream, so you have to assume that they believe it.
Yeah,
Another
right.
Afghan national has been arrested, charged with terrorism. Just 72 hours after the last Afghan national was arrested for murdering National Guard members just feet from the White House at point blank range, shooting them in a targeted assassination. You know, he did assassinations in Afghanistan for the CIA, and we brought him here, well, I guess, to commit them on American soil. It wasn't good enough to just leave him in Afghanistan. We have to bring him here to make sure that he can commit as much collateral damage as possible. And it looks like we're learning that lesson one more time this week. Meet Muhammad. Muhammad just was nabbed for planning on a massive bomb exploding using his cab car in Dallas. He was going to use it as a weapon of mass destruction, pack it with explosives, and blow up a building or a bunch of people in Dallas. We've seen these kind of attacks before. Muhammad was brought here as part of the Allies Welcome program. Again, Orwellian name. It's not allies they were bringing here. They're literally bringing terrorists from the hottest terrorist hotbeds, literally a nation of terrorists run by a terrorist organization that we fought for 20 years and then just surrendered to them under Joe Biden. He was nabbed this week after a TikTok video indicating that he was building a bomb and a car bomb. He was going to target the Fort Worth and Dallas area of Texas. We have the video exclusively, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. We'll play it for you in just a moment. Another Afghan national brought here by Joe Biden. In the same operation, terroristic threatening, send them all back. Muhammad posted a video of himself on TikTok indicating he's going to make a bomb. Must read. In Texas, where Muhammad was booked, he was booked as white, just FYI. He's an Afghan national. He's currently accused of posting a TikTok video, constructing a bomb, Fort Worth area, reaching out to Tarrant County. He's just another white terrorist. There you go. Great. Yeah, Afghan national arrested. Muhammad is on a state level charge. Obviously, it should be a much larger, it should be a federal charge as well. It should get the death penalty for this. Afghan alien arrested, stating he's going to build a bomb. We are under attack. We've imported violent Muslims, and they are lying in wait to strike. Yes, how many have we imported exactly? Can somebody please explain to me why we do this? How much do we hate ourselves? Do we just hate ourselves as a country? Afghan national arrests after posting a video of himself on TikTok indicating that he was going to make a bomb. Okay, well, they keep saying that he posted it on TikTok. I mean, are they really taking this out of context? No, we have the video. So here we go. It's in Pashtun. We've translated it for you. So you'll have to read the captions here, but I'll help highlight some of them, some of the important ones. He's on a TikTok live with a bunch of people from Afghanistan and what seems like the Muslim diaspora around. I don't really exactly know where they're all located, but they're all speaking Pashtun and Arabic and so on.
Yeah.
So they're all like pushing him. They're like, why are you living in Texas if you hate America so much? And listen to
the Texas کالاسی اینجا خواهنداری خدا نمیکنی یا
میکنم اگه دلم شما میکنم آمالا کی انتحاری میکنی سری تو من تیاری میکنم سری کاپیرا من تیاری میکنم سری هر کس انتحاری میکنم
انا بیا سر روغن زرد چرب
صبر انقلاب با
سر روغن زرد چرب چی گفته رئیس
نکو که زیر بسته ها برادر بانش انتحاری هم میکنی
بله
آفرین حالا بشکه زرد داده کجا جور میکنی در امریکا خود نیست
آمین در امریکا جور میکنم این در لایف میگم مخواست در لایف میگم این همین جای در پورت
موتر جور میکنی
در موتر نه در خانه جور میکنی کسی هست که مرا بگیره اینا برش میگم
باز انتحار میکنی
در امریکا در لوکیشن برای سن میکنم
در دالز هستی در لوکیشن هم امریکایی را میکشی و مسلمان ها را هم دیگه
بچهشم
اینه امیر به افغانیشه بگو ترجمهش که به افغانی چی گفتید خیلی
امیر ویدیوش بگیره صبر ها بده امیر تکرار کنه نکنه انقلاب امیر باز
تکرار میکنیم دوباره تکرار
امیر ویدیوش بگیره تکرار کو سعی کو تکرار کو که تو انتحاری چرا کم انتحاری میکنی
تکرار سریتانا می تکرار انتحاری میکنم سری هر کس افغان چی مشکل داشته باشه سری او انتحاری میکنم هیچ مشکل نیست
در کجا هستی آدرس در کجا هستی یک دقیقه بداره ما که سبیلیت بسته که برادر آدرس در کجا هست گفتی
دالاس پورت ورد
انتحاری رو در کجا جور میکنی بامبا
انتحاری همینجا جور میکنم
باز کافر هم انتحار میکنی و
سریتانم میکنم سری کافیرتانم میکنم کسی که افغان مخالف باشه سری او انتحاری میکنم
همین طالب که آمده امروز امریکایی را میگه کشیده میزنم امریکایی ها را
چشم نوری ماست
امریکایی را انتحاری میکنی؟
چشم نوری ماست افغان
نه امریکایی را چرا کم انتحار میکنی؟
میکنم
استی گفتی درست است؟
در تکسار هستم در اسپورت ور
بام گفتی در داخل موتر جور میکنی
همین نشان نباشه
صبر یک دقیقه بیادر گفتی که انتحاری را در موتر جور میکنی یا در خانه
بله جور میکنم
در کجا جور میکنی؟
در موتر جور میکنم اینه
بمبش از کجا میخری؟
برای
چی؟ در زمان
بچه شما که پشتون سر نخورده اینه پشتون آمد افغان شما میگه افغان شوی خواهرتان است بگو
Okay, so I mean, I think that's obviously shown enough. I mean, it's like a long video. We cut it down to this. This is directly from the TikTok, and that's the best and the brightest, you know, that Afghanistan has to offer. These are the like engineers and than we are. Actually, Joe Biden said they're more American, they're bigger patriots than you and me. You know, here he is just straight up saying that he's going to use his taxi in order to make a bomb. He's going to use it to kill Texans, to kill Americans. He's ashamed. He feels ashamed to live in America. How many of these people did we import over here again? Hundreds of thousands. They brought hundreds of thousands of people with this ideology over here. Yeah, and I'm just like sitting here, you know, you're going to be like, you know, you can't just judge everyone. You can't judge everyone. Norm, of course, has the perfect, of course, always with the perfect, it terrifies me if ISIS were to detonate a nuclear device, kill 50 million Americans. Imagine the backlash against peaceful Muslims.
Here's what nobody's telling you about the new bearskin hoodie. This fleece is thick. It's made from 340 GSM of bearskin fleece, which
million Americans. Imagine the backlash against peaceful Muslims. That's right. Here's what's amazing to me and why I'm so frustrated with the Muslim community is that if you know this guy goes to your mosque and you know this guy goes, you see this live, you see this TikTok, why does nobody turn him in exactly? Like if I had a neighbor that was, I don't want anyone to go get killed in a massive bomb, car bomb. Where are all the protests? Where are all the people saying like, no, we disagree with this. It's terrible. I don't see any of that.
Nope.
The hell are they? It's like the same thing with the Somali community in Minneapolis. Like they've been exposed for all these frauds and this like just grotesque mistreatment of the police and services there in Minneapolis, state and federal. It's just like this absolute fraud community, everything from marriage fraud to healthcare, Medicaid fraud, autism fraud. It's all been proven. It's being proven in mass at scale right now, hundreds of millions of dollars being sent back to terrorist organizations, Al-Shabaab back in Somalia. And you don't hear any Somali on TV. You hear none of them out there defending it. No, none of them are out there being like, we disavow this entirely. What I mean by we disavow it. We're very ashamed of this. This does not represent our community. And we're going to help fight this terrible behavior, Remember what white people did in the wake of George Floyd? Okay, complete hoax. No, nothing. You have nothing now on this. How many poison M&Ms do we have to eat? Welcome. Biden administration and Democrats literally imported terrorists, and this will change zero people's minds. Super vetted per Democrats. People should know that Allies Welcome is different than the SIV program, and vetting process was different. Allies Welcome was mainly for guys who did special work, meaning the worst stuff for America. Deport them all now. Use the military, get these people out of our country. They all must go. I wonder if he served a CIA-controlled zero-unit death squad like Ramallah Lenkwal. Regardless, he should not be in the U.S. and should go around the 80,000 Afghans Biden shipped in as part of this disastrous withdrawal from the country. That's exactly right. You can't judge us all by just one. Well, we can judge by the repeated pattern of behavior. They just want to assimilate and leave behind their terrorist ways. Trump got it right, man. Trump got it right. His messy Operation Allies Welcome program failed to monitor Afghans entering the U.S. Damning report finds. At some point, it's us who are the idiots, right? Some of us knew it all along, but it's us who are dumb to let this happen to our nation. Is it still our nation if they can do this, if they can import a bunch of terrorists and just force us all to live amongst them? No, I'm like, to paraphrase J.D. Vance, no, I don't want that person in my neighborhood. I don't want this terrorist that's planning on making a car bomb or that is willing to go shoot National Guards members in my neighborhood, okay? A shred of dignity for their families, self-preservation for their children, we'll say the exact same thing. Yep. So let's put an end to it, right? And fix the problem now.
Four Seasons is the best place for AC sales and service. They're available 24/7 with same-day service or installation.
Oh, come on.
Mike, welcome back to the show. I Do I see some holiday decorations in your shop? I don't know, Mike.
It's holiday-ish.
The famous piano. Yeah, all right, okay. One of these days, you should just serenade us. One of these days, it should just be the Mike Benz. Maybe you could write a song that has to do with Nina Jankowicz and the State Department and the J6 pipe bomber and stolen elections, and you could present that for us. You could perform that for us. Just fun.
Well, we're exactly 1 month from Christmas, so maybe I'll throw in an ugly. Yeah, hit me up in 1 month's time. We'll do an ugly Trump Christmas sweater. I think I've got mine from last year. I've got a small collection building of my MAGA-themed ugly sweater thing. So we'll do that.
I was just blown away last night by this Emerald Robinson thread detailing that machines do straight up steal elections, and that Trump knows this, and it was proven to his campaign that Elon Musk was able to and last minute operation in order to project that we know that this process is happening, to stop it via other means. And I saw this thread. I said, this is insane. There's no way that this is true. And then I called a bunch of people last night, well into the evening, in the small hours of the evening. And I hate myself for doing it because I just couldn't get enough of it, because I kept hearing from everyone, my God, how do you know this is true? This is all true. These are very powerful people. These are very connected people. These are people that obviously know. They were in the room when it happened. And they all said, yeah, this is pretty much, by and large, what occurred in 2024. We know that these machines were systematically stealing elections. We put a stop to it, and we'd like to do that permanently. And that just struck me as something that I think a story the administration should perhaps tell more full-throatedly and embrace, and tell the American people about this. But Mike, you're the master of hard truths for the American people and telling them about the world that actually exists instead of the world, the fake world that they want us to live in. So the floor is yours, Mike. Do machines steal elections in America? Has America ever stolen an election abroad? Please.
The whole reason CISA was created at DHS was because of the idea that election machines can be hacked potentially by the Russians and other malevolent forces, and that it maybe there was voting machine insecurity ahead in midterm elections. And that was why CISA was rushed into being set up in the first place. It was because our election infrastructure was at the cyber level was supposed to be insecure. This is how you had these kind of DNC election machine fraud documentaries like The Kill Chain produced about how easy it was to, hack these machines. And this was something that was just so commonly known. It was a totally bipartisan talking point. It's something that has been talked about for decades at this point. I think it was in the mid-aughts when electronic voting machines started being this kind of project in Eastern Europe even. This is why you see these very weird State Department entanglements with companies like Smartmatic, where you had, I think, Hillary Clinton, her State Department during the Obama tenure was teamed up with Smartmatic to make sure they got shipped into these sensitive European elections, while Smartmatic's chairperson, I believe, was Mark Malloch Brown, the president of the Open Society Foundation. So, I mean, can you imagine if I don't know, the chief of staff of the Trump organization was in charge of Dominion, and then you had this kind of come from behind magic victory where Trump looks under these crazy circumstances, the Republican ends up winning, and the head of the company, essentially the head of the voting machine company, is like the head of the Heritage Foundation or something. I'm trying to think of there's no real equivalent on the right to the Open Society Foundation. It's so globe spanning, but with George Soros being the number one donor to the Democrats and to the DNC writ large, for his right-hand man, the head of his Wrecking Ball Foundation, to be the chairperson of the voting electronic voting machine company.
Jeez.
I mean, it seems like a recipe for disaster. And then you come back to things like what happened in Brazil. I mean, ahead of the very sensitive 2022 presidential election in Brazil, and Bolsonaro, the then president of Brazil, is just this week has now been thrown in prison by Lula. This is the stock and trade Biden technique. You just when you win a magic mystery election in finding the votes to just narrowly come from behind your political opponent, who you defeated under very mysterious circumstances. Happening in Brazil, but in Brazil it was a very strange affair because Bolsonaro was campaigning against the electronic voting machines. He led a very big crusade. He saw what happened to Trump in 2020, and he was known as the Trump of the tropics and a very Trump-aligned government. And he said, we don't want these electronic voting machines here in 2022. So what was the Biden response to that? Well, they sent Bill Burns, the head of the CIA, down to threaten Bolsonaro, not to question the upcoming hypothetical future results of an election months away. A little strange to send the CIA director personally to deliver that message. They sent the head of the U.S. military, Lloyd Austin, then the Secretary of War, to threaten the Brazilian military not to side with Bolsonaro in the event that the voting machines declare that Lula wins. They sent Victoria Nuland down there to threaten Brazilian government officials. She was then the Undersecretary for Political Affairs for the State Department. And then, in a very strange twist of fate, in the midst of a chip shortage here in the United States, where it was difficult to even produce smart cars because of our semiconductor chip shortage, the U.S. State Department diverted semiconductor chips from Taiwan to send them to the head of the Brazilian Supreme Court, the very Supreme Court that is censoring tens of millions of Bolsonaro supporters. Luis Barroso, back-channeled a secret agreement with a former U.S. ambassador to Brazil, mediated by the Biden State Department, to back-channel semiconductor chips secretly into Brazil against the wishes of Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro was not even informed this was happening, in order to secretly build the electronic voting machines that resulted in his, that were, shall we say, a not insignificant part of the story of Bolsonaro's very narrow loss that day. So why did the State Department run this secret operation? You can read all about it in the Financial Times. I believe it was, the article is called "The Discreet Plot to Fortify Brazil's Elections." And they describe the highly unusual secret whole of government mobilization between the National Security Council, the CIA, the State Department, the Department of War, and the White House itself to all get these electronic voting machines into Brazil secretly against the wishes of the Brazilian president. Why on earth would we deprive Americans of semiconductor chips to build electronic voting machines in a foreign country whose head of state doesn't want purpose, while we know that U.S.A. at the same time was funneling something like $80 million into funding against Bolsonaro and building up its censorship apparatus, influencing its judges through its rule of law programs. It's $87 million. This all went into pro-Lula groups, pro-Lula unions, pro-Lula censorship organizations, pro-Lula media outlets. This is, again, where, Benny, I try to never go beyond my receipts. So while I've got hard, completely convictable in a court beyond a shadow of doubt receipts on how the censorship apparatus was constructed, I don't candidly know what the secret sauce of the electronic voting machines, but all I can say is it stinks to high holy hell.
Said it was too expensive, so for Black Friday, we answered. 61% off our functional coffee. Not enough? Fine. We threw in a whole box of free...
They really do hate democracy, don't they, man? Like, they actually do hate us. It seems like every time that there is any type of even whiff of a populist, nationalist will of the people candidate or movement, they'll shut it down. I mean, this seems to be one of the major reasons why people think the Ukraine deal is going to be scuttled, is because it will force Volodymyr Zelensky to have an election. It's like step back from the table for just a second, like sober up, like drink a Gatorade, done with the hangover. Like, okay, let's actually look at this. We're sending billions to defend democracy in Ukraine. Everyone's dying. Everyone's dead. The entire country has lost an entire generation. There really isn't a Ukraine anymore at all. And the major holdup to peace is that they'll have to have an election. Mike, what the hell is that?
You know exactly what this is. They redefined democracy when they started losing elections. So instead of meaning the consensus of individuals in a vote, to meaning the consensus of institutions. From their perspective, it is a democratic process. It takes a lot to mobilize all the different companies in the Chamber of Commerce, to mobilize all the different financial firms and what they're invested in terms of fossil fuels versus climate finance. It takes a lot to mobilize all the different wings of the diplomacy and intelligence and defense and development sectors to come to some sort of democratic consensus about what to do with big global policies or big initiatives around war. And if at the end of that process, which takes months and sometimes years, in the event of things like the Iran deal or the Paris Climate Accords, or say ending the Russian reset and declaring effectively a new Cold War against Russia, if at the end of that very delicate negotiating process amongst the institutions, the voters come in at the end and, like a wrecking ball, decide to vote for someone who had a funny personality, I'll say, on social media, that is considered now to be an attack on democracy if the voters go against the so-called institutions, which all serendipitously, every single one to a T. This is how you get even defined as an institution. It means you are a member of the club. You're a member of the blob. And virtually all of our domestic institutions at an elite level are a part of this, all the way from our universities, like our highest ranking ones like Harvard and Stanford and Yale and the like, to even our teachers unions like the American Federation of Teachers and the National Education Association, which all have this multi-decades long relationship with the CIA and the State Department and USAID, to all the way down to our rule of law programs, the American Bar Association. You were just talking to Mike Davis, the American Bar Association, which the case, but the American Bar Association has the sole and exclusive monopoly right to credential law schools. It is the narrow valve through which the entire American legal system passes, and it's got an exclusive delegated semi-regulatory power from the Department of Education. Meanwhile, it gets tens of millions of dollars from the U.S. State Department and USAID to go into foreign countries to work with foreign judges and foreign prosecutors to rig their judicial system in the name of judicial independence, to keep their judges and prosecutors free from government influence. Our government apparatus goes in to control it, and then lo and behold, they come back to control our own, like Norm Eisen, who was the U.S. ambassador to the Czech Republic, running the State Department Czech Republic portfolio, set up these sprawling rule of law programs to control the Czech Republic's judges and prosecutors from 2011 to 2014-ish, and then comes back as soon as Trump wins and say, hey, what did we do to take out the opposition to the State Department in the Czech Republic when I was there? Well, we went straight to the judiciary. Hey, I got a great idea. We're going to do that here. And all of these institutions need to be reformed. The funding conduits for them have to be completely renegotiated. And we had a lot of progress in this in the first 4 or 5 months of the Trump admin, especially while Elon was there. And I have to say, while we're taking stock of the end of the year, that some of the momentum on that much of the momentum, frankly, on that has slowed, not stopped entirely, but slowed dramatically in its pace. And there's been, I think, in the past 2-3 months, a kind of reversion at the pace level to the typical affairs of statecraft, that, negotiating the Ukraine deal, negotiating these very. My concern is that as Elon left the White House, and that became less and less of a recently left the White House thing, a lot of the energy and initiatives that was happening at the agency by agency level have slowed. And my concern is that Trump political appointees are now kind of focused on the day-to-day rather than the once-in-a-generation opportunity we have for mass disclosures, mass transparency, and a peek behind the veil of secrecy we've lived under.
Everybody feels that, whether it's Epstein or the pipe bomber or whether it's election fraud. Everybody feels that. It was laid bare with Thomas Crooks recently, where it's just demonstrable empirical lies that have been told about the single most consequential presidential assassin in our lifetimes. And Thomas Crooks is there as a ghost. Nobody knows anything about him. The FBI is lying and mischaracterizing who he was and what his ideology was. And we would have had a very different election, meaning I think that Trump could have actually won more like, something like, 35 states if we had known full well that this was somebody who was transgender or using they, them pronouns, somebody who was a radical leftist ideology and hated the president. All of that was not only kept from us, the opposite was told to us. He was a right-wing extremist. He actually loved Trump. He was wearing an American flag shirt, and he once donated to a right-wing cause, and so he was a Republican, actually, and Trump deserved this. That's the story we were told by the FBI. And really wonder, why does it take an independent journalist, Tucker Carlson, to come out with this evidence that's clearly available, spoken in his name and his own YouTube comments? Like, what value would the Trump administration have from not disclosing everything we know about Thomas Crooks all the way down to his DNA?
My wife got me something I'd never buy myself, and it's genius. My wife surprised me with this, and now I'm hooked with this exciting hobby.
It was DNA.
I have a lot of thoughts on all of this. I can sort of, in my heart, forgive the slow pace of criminal investigations. I don't like how slow the pace has been in some of these, but I can sort of understand it. What I can't understand, I just put this in the studio chat. If you can pull up just this first link, is the web archive link.
Grabbing it right now.
This is when you put it on screen, I'll explain where I'm going with this. This was CISA's Office of Misdis and Malinformation. If you scroll down, and you'll see this. What is MDM? Open that up, and what you'll see is you will see that they specifically say domestic threat actors for the DHS Office of Misdis and Malinformation. As you'll see right there in the archive at the top, it says CISA.gov/MDM, misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. Now, Benny, as we speak, this office was around for 2 whole years, from 2021 until 2023, when basically, I mean to brag, but my foundation published a series of reports about it, and then they shut down the website and renamed everything. This was around for 2 whole years. This was Now, the Disinformation Governance Board was not formed until about April 2022. This was around since January 2021, the very first week that Biden took office. The CISA's Countering Foreign Influence Task Force, which was supposed to stop the Russians, which was repurposed to stop Trump in the 2020 election, quickly changed its name from the Countering Foreign Influence Task Force to the Office legally and in terms of its charter confined to foreign influence, because as they said 1 month before the 2020 election, they wanted to switch their focus to 80% domestic, 20% foreign. Now, I bring this up because the second link that I put in the chat, you'll see it's the hawley.senate.gov link. This is from June 2022, and this is Hawley and Grassley. These were the documents that end up blowing up the Disinformation Governance Board. If you click on that thing that says documents, you'll see is a 31-page PDF, which to this day, over 3 years later, represents the sum total of internal documents we have related to the Office of Misdis and Malinformation. What I want to know is why the hell do I have more information about the Office of Misdis and Malinformation and who they targeted as domestic threat actors from the minority Republican Senate? Remember, put yourself back in the summer of 2022. You had a Democrat president, a Democrat control of the House of Representatives, and a Democrat control of the Senate. And we had more transparency about DHS's Misdis and Malinformation Office than we've had in 10 months. The executive branch actually having control over the House of Representatives, actually having control over the Senate. Why is nobody at DHS publishing these? I want every internal file. I want every email correspondence. I want every text from a Office of Misdis and Malinformation government employee on a DHS phone to be in a WikiLeaks style, ODNI JFK file style, DHS.gov database, where now and for centuries evermore, we have a detailed internal forensic reconstruction of the effery they did inside DHS during those years. So we can name and shame the appropriate people so that we can hold this up in the court of public opinion and say never again. They asleep? Did they not? Has the snooze button been on for 10 months? Do they not know it exists? It bothers me that we have more transparency from one whistleblower 3 years ago when we were out of power than we have from nominally tens of thousands of people at DHS under this executive branch while we have the executive branch power. And I say that not just about the Office of Misdis and Malinformation at DHS. I just published this video on George Soros' State Department cables that I found going into the WikiLeaks archive from 2010. WikiLeaks published State Department cables that dated from 1973 to 2010. Now, these are just from a handful of ambassadors and State Department folks whose records ended up getting leaked to WikiLeaks. And I was able to reconstruct dozens of transactions and global investments by the Soros Management Fund that were intermediated by the U.S. State Department. George Soros and his older brother, Paul Soros. I have more transparency about the Open Society Foundation's relationship with the State Department from Julian Assange 15 years ago than I do from my own State Department today. The Open Society Foundation weaponized that relationship with the global transatlantic foreign policy establishment to meddle in domestic politics while hiding behind a shield of secrecy with the U.S. State Department, with USAID, with the Central Intelligence Agency. And to this day, we have zero disclosures. Benny, why has not a single cooperative agreement from USAID been made public? Can I ask that? We know a lot about the contracts that have been cut, right? A lot of the funding to USAID. And what you get are one-line descriptions. Well, this was funding a transgender dance festival in Somalia. Okay, cool. First of all, these grant descriptions are never what they say. You get a one-line description in usaspending.gov, and then everything else is under national security or foreign policy. You just can't get access to it. And I give the famous Zunzaneo example where, you had this USA building a CIA social media platform in Cuba, but the usaspending.gov grant description was for humanitarian relief in Pakistan. It's spin the globe. It's totally random what the grant says versus what it actually does. But every single one of these dollars is accompanied by a cooperative agreement between USAID and the grant recipient with the actual details of what they're getting paid to do. And not a single cooperative agreement between USAID and the Open Society Foundation or the Omidyar Network or the Gates Foundation have ever been made public. None of the quarterly reports, none of the annual reports where they report on their milestones. Here's what you paid us to do. Here's how it's coming along. Here's our success. Here are the people that we're talking to in network.
Tried all the creams and sprays out there, but nothing worked the way I hoped. Look, I get it because I've been there. I tried the numbing
success. Here are the people that we're talking to in network. None of it. I need to go back to hacked records from 15 years ago to do that exercise, when nominally you've got the president's pick of personnel at state and at USAID and at the White House, and you've got a Republican majority in the House and the Senate who wouldn't block these disclosures, or could be, I don't think it would be politically palatable, frankly, and so I thought in the first couple months of the admin speed that this was coming, and that and then for the next couple months I thought, well, this takes time. Now, as the end of the year approaches, and then when 2026 starts, the focus is going to be on the midterms. I am coming to you concerned, and to all members of the administration, whether you are at DHS, whether you are at USAID, whether you're at the State Department, whether you're at the CIA or ODNI, or where the Department of War, I implore you, please, on behalf of the American people, on behalf of the mantle of history you inherit for this very special moment in time, where every day is a precious day where the clock is ticking down.
Yes.
Open these files and let us in.
Yes. The only way that you reestablish trust, whether it's with your girlfriend or your wife, whether it's with your dog, whether it's with your children, or whether it's with the electorate in a country that you run, is you have to be totally open and transparent with them, and you need to apologize. And you don't have to be perfect. This happens between me and my wife all the time. You just have to acknowledge that you're going to move forward, and you're going to acknowledge that some things went wrong, and you're going to be totally open about it, right? You're not going to be secretive. You're not going to be withholding or tight-fisted, ham-fisted, and bitter and cold. And that has not happened, Mike. And you got to criticize, sometimes the closest people to you, the ones who are going to have to bear the criticism of your actions and try and correct course. And that's what we're trying to do here with the Trump administration. Obviously, this Epstein thing has backfired in a spectacular way that was predictable by people like me and you, but has totally shocked the administration. I don't know why, but I pray that misread and the political damage that it has caused prescribes for them a better way forward, which is complete and total radical transparency with a American populace that elected you for that. And I want to here's my friend moment here. It's not their fault in the sense that this trust was destroyed by incompetent, stupid, malevolent leadership of our nation in the past, while Donald Trump was a TV star. They did inherit these broken systems at the FBI and the CIA and the State Department and USAID. And so since they inherited them, and since now they have the keys, it is incumbent upon them to release everything that they have on the pipe bomber. Every time that Democrats or Thomas Massey or MTG or whatever, the ladies of The View, are out there looking like they're asking for more transparency than the administration, that does damage. Like, we should beat them at that game. And it is them who, frankly, are the ones committing the crimes with Jeffrey Epstein. I haven't seen anything implicating Donald Trump at all. We'd be honest about that if there was. But there's nothing. It's only Democrats, actually, who are begging him for money, who are doing his bidding in Congress, and who are his clients. Mike, again, I asked the question, and it might have to be the parting question, but I asked the question for your friend, for your advice that you would give to, like, your drunk friend who's making mistakes at the bar, you know, who's like acting, you know, who's acting up or not behaving in their right mind. Like, what is your message to the Trump administration as it pertains to this level of transparency, whether it's CISA, the Misinformation Disinformation Board, or whether it's the J6 pipe bomber? What's your advice?
I'll start by dealing with the Epstein thing first.
Please.
I've spent so many thousands of hours of my life on the Epstein kaleidoscope, and it's a fascinating, just cinematic universe. And to me, it's kind of it's a very interesting anecdote. A microcosm that once you understand that network, it helps you understand other networks. In the grand scope of global blobbery, Epstein himself is a relatively bit character. But, and so I assess. But the reason it has resulted in now apparently Marjorie Taylor Greene leaving Congress and the MAGA base being fractured is because we are so fixated on the missing Epstein files because we don't have other files to sink our teeth into. Benny, imagine if today, what we just talked about, this is so simple. The files are all there at DHS for the Office of Misdis and Malinformation. Imagine if a public database was made available of every single internal communication, every single deliberative document, every single individual in the United States who was listed as a domestic threat actor, what they went after everyone for. We got the Twitter file side of it. We got a couple of disclosures through court documents. But imagine if for 3 weeks we could pour through the dis, and malinformation files of the U.S. federal government. That would, you'd still have, folks invested in the Epstein story talking about it, but we would have, it would be a show of open hands to the American people.
Yes.
That would allow us to focus on things that are important.
Yes.
And the failure to have the USAID files, the failure to have the State Department files, the failure to have the White House Information Integrity Working Group was a 26 government agency-wide coordinated censorship apparatus. I published this at my foundation. The House itself, co-led by the ODNI and the National Science Foundation, which is just the civilian arm of DARPA, led a 4-year global censorship coordinating ring, and we don't have a single file from that. And so in the absence of any other files that are relevant to our life to sink our teeth into, people are left to talk about, well, God, can't you at least get us the Epstein stuff? And inversely, the Epstein stuff may be kind of harder politically to turn over. There's the criminal and sort of side of it. There's I'm hearing now that Cash is saying that the estate actually has a lot of the files and it's difficult legally to get access to. But there's no excuse for this other low-hanging fruit, which gives us months, years to dig into. This stuff takes a lot of time to dig, and you don't need to read it all. I don't think that Tulsi Gabbard necessarily read 89,000 JFK files personally before declassifying them and putting them on an ODNI.gov website. But you know what, Betty? The moment she did that, she probably bought about 6 months of unfettered goodwill from the American public.
Yes.
And nobody's followed that example. And I don't know that there's the same. I want to see evidence that the fire is burning hot there. And I know it's a tough job, and in many ways it's a thankless job, until you do something really big that makes everyone say, God, thank you. I mean, people are going to be thanking Tulsi for those JFK files, which were bombshell. I mean, Benny, we went over this. One of those files had the CIA plotting with the National Security Council to drop man-made biological agents appearing to be of biological origin on Cuban agricultural crop workers. That doesn't necessarily help our diplomatic posture with Cuba. That was classified for 65 friggin' years.
I've seen this. It's a rerun. I've seen it. Back to the Future. What's a rerun? Like, oh my God, the CIA created a biological agent in order to collapse an administration of a state. That's Mike, it's like it's almost. It feels so. It feels so close. It feels so cozy. It's almost like we just lived through that.
Right. Well, I mean, that was literally the same lab. They referenced in that CIA document the Rocky Mountain Laboratory, which is the exact laboratory that got funding under Tony Fauci for gain of function for the DARPA Fern Cleveland site insertion in COVID-19.
Come on, bro.
Come
on, bro.
I mean, we can talk about that forever. But the point that I'm getting at is that is something that I, in my heart, when I saw that, I had zero surprise because I read Chris Newby's Bitten. And all the circumstantial evidence for that is there's so much smoke. You'd be insane not to run in the building if you had a child inside, because there's probably there has to be a fire with all that smoke. But then you see the smoking gun CIA document. To Thanksgiving, I don't need to say, oh, look at this and this and this and this and this. I can just go to odni.gov and I can hold up this document. And that's the end. And the same thing can be done at every. Seemed like there was a real fire while Elon was there.
Yes.
And, you know, now we're hearing reports about Doge being restructured, and I know it's being contested and yada, yada. But the fact is the priority for Doge-style declassification and serious reform does seem to have seriously slowed. And that has got to be reversed. I mean, there's got to be a big show. We need our Hoover Dam project. We need a Great Works project announced by this administration, you know, in the next month or so before the start of the new year, to really energize people about what they can expect. So we don't need to keep spending months in the dark about what's coming, fearing nothing will, because my concern is that's what leads to infighting. When you don't have forward progress on a bright, beautiful future, you fall to fighting amongst your brothers for the limited present that you have.
Gravity! Or what if we mixed Fireball with apple? Delicious!
Hope that it is seen as a massive warning sign in the road that we elected Donald Trump on a protest vote in order to smash this corrupt system. Clearly hates the people that it purports to represent and lead. And they have to do some system smashing. Oh, it's painful when you're in charge of the system itself, right? The FBI looks a lot different when you're the one getting the guns and the badges. But that's why Trump was elected, not to become that system. And so it is absolutely imperative that you restore that trust. And we who elect Trump on that protest vote, like those same people will elect a Mondami to do the same thing, right? The guy can't run for president, but they'll elect a Mondami proxy, like an AOC, for the same purpose. They can run on the same message, and it'll be a lie. But those voters can shift. You know, you can see it. They'll go to Bernie Sanders for the exact same purpose. And I think Republicans need to hear that message, like, and hear it now, like right now. That this is why Trump was elected, and they better become the smashing machine, and do it quickly, because otherwise they'll lose it. Yeah.
Well, I still have you since and you focused a little bit more on the FBI than I have in this. I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity I sent you in the chat, just as my sort of final sign-off farewell. Here's one thing the FBI could do immediately. Could you just read these 7 steps to transparency for the FBI pipe bomb investigation? All of this is easy to do, but easy to not do if nobody's pushing you. And I hope to use your platform to, if the FBI is listening, here's how you can show. Okay, you can't find the guy. Show us what you're looking at,
or girl,
so that we. So step 1: upload all 39,000 raw video files the FBI told CBS or ABC. It said in January 2022, it said it had 39,000 raw video files of the pipe bomber from different angles. So we can run a huge sweeping range of composite analyses. Number 2, upload redacted versions of all 400 plus interviews the FBI told the media it had conducted, so we can get a comprehensive view of all the evidence collected. Step 3, upload redacted versions of every FBI and DOJ internal deliberative memo and internal forensic assessment analyzing the evidence compiled, so we can see both the leading and alternative theories of the case as the FBI presently sees it. Help us get you past the blocking points. Step 4, upload redacted versions of every internal and DOJ email and text message related to the case from January 2021 to present, so we can see how the case theory evolved over time and how it may have been sabotaged from within. I know that Kyle Seraphin has mentioned that there were these early leads and there was a license plate and a metro station. Let's see it. Step 5, internally run a detailed personnel search on the main FBI agents and DOJ officials who were in charge of the pipe bomb investigation during the Biden admin, and read every communication trace they left. Who was the FBI guy in charge of the pipe bomb investigation? Who was the DOJ guy? What were their internal communications? Step 6, trace the physical chain of custody for the cameras overlooking the DNC site to see at what link in the chain of custody the footage appears to have been tampered with or degraded. I don't believe that the DNC headquarters, which was broken into in the 1970s, culminating in Watergate, had a 1 frame per second video surveillance camera 30 times worse than your average 7-Eleven. I don't believe that. I think it went into video processing, and the footage was degraded, and they blurred the eyes, and they dropped the frame rate to 1 FPS, and I want to know who did that. Was it the FBI? Was it a third-party contractor? Number 7, cell carriers informed Congress last year that they possess intact phone usage data from the area where the 2 pipe bombs were planted at the Capitol on January 6, contradicting the Biden FBI claims that the corrupted data prevented identification of the suspect, who was both making phone calls and text messages on his cell phone while he was planting the devices.
Yes.
Request that phone data. They told Congress under the Biden admin that actually it wasn't corrupted when they sent it to the FBI. So get the uncorrupted phone data and give us a detailed update on all the investigative links you are pursuing about that phone data so that we know where you're stuck and how we can focus on. You do those 7 steps and you just bought 2-3 months of us to, instead of blaming the FBI for holding this up and keeping us in the dark, we are now level set with the FBI. We are an extension of the FBI, the same way Bellingcat and Capitol Hunters and all those crap groups were for the January 6th investigation. The SPLC was just attached to the FBI as a long arm extension. Let us be your long arm extension to help with this. And that gives us something to do with real evidence and real facts to add to our public body of record while you're continuing to run the traps internally. This is one of these things where you do that, you'll buy several months of extremely goodwill, and instead of blanketing this, we're over 4 years past it. You can't hide behind ongoing criminal investigation anymore. At this point, it doesn't matter if the pipe bomber sees what evidence we have against him. This has been 4 years. Help us help you.
The phone data has always blown my mind. Like, why we don't have Thomas Crooks' phone data. Obviously, there's photos of Thomas Crooks minutes before he shot President Trump in the head on his phone. We have no idea who he's on the phone with. We have no idea who he was calling. We have no idea what he was searching. We don't know what he was doing here. Was he on a phone call? I'm sure as hell looks like it. Who was calling him right before shooting Trump in the head? We don't know. The feds know, and they refused to, even though we have this photo that was taken from a sniper who was watching him inexplicably and then locked out of his sniper nest, as the story goes.
Cancel today.
But we have this photo, so it's like an insult to us that they don't give us this information. And he's dead. The pipe bomber is presumably alive. Who knows? But the pipe bomber is also inexplicably on their phone for minutes, at half an hour, wandering around, clear as day. The companies say that they have this information. What the hell is the holdup? Because we can see, it becomes so much more insulting. You know, the Zapruder film was released like a decade after they shot and killed JFK. So it was a lot easier to kind of like bulldoze all of this. But because we can see that they're on their phones, and we all know how a phone works, and the companies say that they know who these people are, what numbers were being used, or who is being called, it's prima facie the greatest insult to a critical thinking people, which we are. No, I mean, that's dying quickly, but we still maintain the ability to say, you're lying. And the videos prove it, and the more that they continue, the more they carry this on, the more insulting it gets. Yeah, you're exactly right. And this is the pressure release that we want. I mean, I'm sorry that we don't have more. JFK, in conclusion, last thing I'll say on this, you're so right, Mike. The moment they release those JFK files, and they're not even all of them, but the moment that the CIA wouldn't want out, the CIA bumped into Lee Harvey Oswald. They were actually, running him and operating him. I mean, they've been lying about that for 70 years. But anyway, they released that, and you could feel the pressure dissipate in society. You could feel it. I know you can. Like, you could feel it go away. And that was such a great practice, actually, in what they should be doing on all of these concurrent issues. Why they don't take that tact, I don't know. The final word is yours, Mike.
Nobody in the world wants, especially if you're successful on the outside, Cash or Dan's job at the FBI. They gave up huge salaries to be pilloried by the public and inherit something that is fundamentally unfixable. You can make changes at the margins, but at the end of the day, we have 4 political appointees at the FBI, and there's 38,000 FBI employees. So it's 4 against 38,000. Nobody and they're setting themselves potentially for getting indicted or lawfared for the rest of their waking lives with any reform that they do. I do not envy their positions, and I think that the public needs to have perspective about the demands at the FBI level because of what they're up against on the inside. At the same time, if you're stumped, there's a what is it, a $500,000 reward for the pipe bomber's identity? If you're stumped about the pipe bomber's identity, which you clearly are, and you're tantalizing us, a lifetime worth of riches for finding this person, then let us see through your eyes. Show us what you are looking at. You know what I mean? Like, help us help you. Help us help the investigation. And they had no problem doing this with the January 6th cases. They had no problem putting out, everything they had. They had an ongoing investigation about every single person on the FBI wanted list. They had no problem creating whole dossiers and making all of that public to help Capitol Hunters and Bellingcat and the Atlantic Council DFR Lab and all these, the entire whole of society, civil society network to go after and help identify anonymous criminal suspects. Just do that here. It doesn't. We're not demanding that you have the answer because we understand what you inherited. I'm sure the FBI and DOJ burned thousands of internal files about the J6 pipe bomber. I am sure that the record they have is corrupted. But show us that record so we can help you. You may only have a handful of investigators inside the FBI that you can actually trust. You got hundreds of thousands of us, though. So let us see through your eyes, and that will help us empathize with the situation you're in. But we need to.
Giving great relationship advice there too, as well, right? Like Mike Davis, it's like make sure that people can understand your perspective. Explain that, and that's how you have a functional relationship, and then be honest with them, and then be admissible about what's the problems that have occurred in the past, and you'll have a good relationship. People are forgiving, And people want these systems and relationships and institutions to work, actually. So I hope that they follow your advice.
These are great people with a very difficult job, and we should also try to be as loving as we can.
I do. I pray for
providing.
I do pray for them. I pray for you, Mike. You know, I pray for you, Mike. I pray for everybody who speaks very, very difficult truths instead of sweet lies. And Mike is just one of those people. Please follow him. He's already got millions of subscribers. You should certainly be one of them. For the most honest man on the internet, and that's saying a lot. The great Mike.
Gotta pay for our country, pay for the American people. Gotta pray for that.
If you don't use this honey and cinnamon trick today, your brain could be silently rotting. A spoonful of honey and cinnamon before.
Welcome to today's Take 5. We have Stephen Gardner with us today. He's the host of the Stephen Gardner Show. Stephen, good to see you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on.
Stephen, can you, before we start and get into some world events and U.S. events that are happening before our very eyes, kind of give the His Glory Nation a little bit of background about yourself?
Oh, thank you. So I have a political YouTube show with about 2 million subscribers. I'm also over on Rumble so that I can have that free speech opportunity. I don't always get on YouTube, but I am a Christian trying to help spread the gospel at the same time, bring people the truth about what's going on in the world and what's really going on in Washington, D.C.
Stephen, well, thank you for that. Thank you for standing up for truth and our Lord and Savior. First thing that I was looking on our notes to talk about today is something as me being a Marine. When I saw this video of all these Democrat politicians saying openly to defy our military, defy the orders, I saw a video yesterday or the day before, I think it was Fox News, talking to one of these politicians that did that. And she said, I think it was Martha McCallum, said, give me one example, just one example of how he is not following the Constitution or giving unlawful orders. And he couldn't even come up with one.
Yeah, I mean, I saw another gentleman, his name escapes me right now, but he said, well, there's not a particular order that he's given, but what we're saying is in the future, you don't always have to listen. But there was no particular thing. It was just a video that we did on the whim. Well, no, this seemed pretty scripted. It seemed pretty planned. I've done movies and documentaries. I know how much work goes into filming something. This wasn't done on a whim.
Yeah. Can you do you have any thoughts on why they would try to do this? And then also, A, why, and B, what is your thoughts about President Trump's reaction to that?
So it ended with this tagline, don't give up the ship, right? So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to exert this shadow authority over the president of the United States. For example, they do these no king rallies where they're out there pretending to each other that this guy is acting like a king, that he does whatever he wants, that this guy is taking over, that he is unlawful, that he doesn't follow the Constitution. He does whatever he wants, right? The reality is he's been sued more than any president in American history. And what has he done? He has not behaved like a king. He's allowed every one of those to go through the court. If he needed to, he's taken it to the Supreme Court, where he has an incredible track record. So, and then as far as his reaction, you know, President Trump can be a little bit brash. He's a New Yorker. But the way that he laid it out is he is saying this is bad behavior. And the bad behavior of sedition is that you can take somebody's life, right? Now, I don't think that the president that's calling for peace and is now being called to end the war in Sudan, he's trying to end the Russia-Ukraine war, I don't think that he is a bloodthirsty monster that, hey, there are consequences for your words, and if you're going to commit sedition or treason, there are consequences for that.
Yeah, I know many former U.S. generals and admirals that I communicate to publicly on His Glory and privately. And just about every single one of them were not only upset, but said what President Trump's response was absolutely right. And you very rarely hear generals or admirals say sedition or treason. That's not a word they use every day.
Yeah, it's not. And it's not something that should be thrown around lightly. I didn't like when Mitt Romney said that Tulsi Gabbard had committed treason just because she had a different opinion than him, right? But so you do have to be careful with your words. But I genuinely believe that they are trying to rally their base because the only policy that they have to go on right now is that Trump is bad. Literally, what are they going to run on in 2026 except for we're not Donald Trump? But that's also a terrible platform because Donald Trump has had so many wins. So what they're really saying is we're not winning for you and we're not Donald Trump. So it's really bad messaging.
It's absolutely insane. I don't know if you caught wind of this. I think it came out yesterday. I can't think of the 5 blue states off the top of my head. But the 5 blue states in the big, beautiful bill are saying no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. They're going to not allow that to happen in their own state against their own workers.
It's like in C.S. Lewis when he says, why would you avoid everything that's good for you? The reality is these blue states, they are desperate for tax money. Look at New York, look at California. They're constantly needing federal bailouts. They're flooded with illegal immigrants that are just bankrupting their hospital systems. So these blue states, they are just starved for cash. So now you have a sitting president who overwhelmingly won on the message of I'm going to lower your taxes, I'm going to get rid of taxes on Social Security and on tips and overtime. And they're going, wait a minute, you start collectively adding that up on thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of people, and suddenly we don't have the money for illegal immigrants. We don't have the money to run all of these programs. So it's just bad tax planning on their part. The reality is they all need to just cut their budgets, but they won't.
No, they have not. Talk about your thoughts on if you ever saw this coming in the state of the Democratic Party today, meaning communist socialism tied with radical Islam coming on their platform.
No, that one has been a shocker. Although, I didn't expect them to abandon the working party. I didn't expect them to abandon unions. I didn't expect them to throw dirt in the face of Black Americans. I mean, they are literally on this train to Nowhereville where, again, every message that they had in the past were...
Want more energy? Take caffeine. You want better memory and focus? Take lion's mane. You want to reduce stress? Take L-theanine. You want to strengthen your immune...
Nowhereville, where, again, every message that they had in the past... We're the party that's against war. We're the party of peace. We're the party of kindness. We're the party of a hand up versus a hand out. Now they want to flood the country with illegal immigrants. I don't know. They seem totally lost to me. I mean, to use a scripture reference, right? They're like a boat with no rudder. Like they're literally just listless, floating in the wind, wondering why the storms are beating them up. They need to come together. I mean, I don't want to give them advice because I don't mind them losing, if I'm being honest. But at the same time, this is a party that we have to interact with. It would be nice if they had people that could actually cross the aisle and work together. It would be nice if they cared about America. It would be nice if they had Christian values. But the reality is the majority of Democrats in leadership, maybe not the Democrat people, but in leadership, they're godless. They're anti-American. They're embarrassed of America. To me, I can't wrap my mind around it.
So speaking of that, how, from your perspective, how can you be a Christian and be a Democrat?
So I have thought a lot about this, and I don't have a perfect answer, but that the government is what should take care of people, then the government becomes your God, right? Yeah. And so as a Christian, or even a Jewish person, right? We're supposed to put God as the number one thing in our life, and then family, right? And so I think that they have replaced charity with government handouts. They want to be merciful to the person that's doing crime versus the victim. So it's like everything is upside down in their world right now. But I don't understand it. I don't know how they advocate for abortion. I don't know how they advocate for criminals. Again, it's all backwards. I can't fully wrap my mind around it, but it doesn't align with the way that I was raised.
Well, and you have Senator Tim Kaine. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was AI when he said in Congress that nothing in our Constitution talks about God and that our government is the supreme leader. I couldn't believe he said that open. Unbelievable that we have senators that have that type of opinion about our Constitution. I want to get your thoughts on this meeting today with the incoming New York City Mayor Mamdani and President Trump. Oh, this could be something we've never seen before. Fireworks.
Yeah, I think what Mamdani is going to find is that these socialist talking points might win an election, but it's no way to govern one of the biggest cities. I mean, over $100 billion budget. People that pay taxes aren't going to put up with the freeloaders. The freeloaders are going to be agitated that they don't get their free stuff. You're going to see some people fleeing New York and a bunch of other people wanting to be taken care of by the government flooding in. So only time will tell, but I don't think President Trump's going to put up with this. I think he's going to treat him fair and give him the old Trump razzle dazzle where, he just doesn't put up with anybody trying to make him look bad or get their 30-second soundbite. But I think what we'll find with Mamdani is between President Trump, the people of New York, and Kathy Hochul, they're going to rein him in. He may get a few things off, but already he's begging for money. Already he's saying, listen, there may be some things that now that I'm in office, I'm just not able to do.
I see you have a Make America Great Again hat behind you. I got to ask you this before we get into illegal immigration. How is making America great a bad thing and people are taking off airplanes or it's considered offensive? Aren't we all Americans and don't we all want to be great as a country?
Yeah, to me, I mean, I guess just because it's attached to Donald J. Trump, they immediately have to take a position of hate. But I love this country. It's not a perfect country, but I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I was just texting with a friend this morning about that. This is a wonderful country. I've lived in third world countries, and I got to tell you, it was nice to do service and it was nice to get back home. But I've got about 9 of those Make America Great hats in different colors. And I love walking around with that. But place of second chances. It's a place of opportunity. So I love this country, and there's nothing that would make me deny that.
Yeah, I love that. All right, let's go to illegal immigration. Your thoughts and how deep this actually went. I don't think anybody knew until President Trump came in with Doge and Snap and all these reveals how deep and how out of control our illegal immigration truly is.
Yeah, so the thing that made me vote for President Trump the third time was he said the Republican Party has become the party of common sense. That was the first thing. Yeah. I think the greatest line of his second term has been, it turns out we didn't need a new policy. We just...
This is heavy. It's warm.
You just need to do is vote for common sense. That's all it is, common sense, man.
Wood's pockets. I'm impressed with it. This is the Baskin practical.
The greatest line of his second term has been, it turns out we didn't need a new policy. We just needed a new president, right? Look at what he has done on the border. I hope that the power and the energy of what he did for America will be highlighted during the 2026 midterm elections. But think about this. We had anywhere from 130,000 to 200,000 people flooding in from other countries. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, religion, wherever you come from, I believe that you are a child of God. But there are also rules, right? And you can't just flood into a country and then expect that country to take care of you. So you end up with anywhere from 15 to 20 million. We don't even know the exact number, but let's just call it 20 million people that have come in from different backgrounds, most of them from countries where they didn't have any money. So now they end up leeching off the American government. Well, that's not fair in the school system to our children and grandchildren. That's not fair to our military veterans who can't get medical care because they now have to stand in line with somebody from a different country. It's certainly not fair to our seniors that are on Social Security that worked in order to build up Social Security credits to now have, receive that money back from the government. And then you find out that someone who's been here for 5 days or 5 months is getting more assistance from the federal government, free housing, free food, EBT cards with thousands of dollars. They were driving up the cost of insurance, driving up the cost of groceries. So again, it's like, okay, listen, I know that these are God's children, but if you just flood a country that's doing well, you're going to make everybody miserable, right? I mean, this is the actual definition of socialism, right? It works until you run out of someone else's money. Well, they're bleeding us dry, and we need those jobs. We need those opportunities. So I think what President Trump has done with the illegal immigrants is amazing. Just one more story that I covered on my show over on YouTube is you had President Trump send the National Guard to the state of North Carolina. Yeah. On the day they arrive, 20% of children don't go to school. This didn't get a lot of attention. That ends up being between 25 to 30,000 kids. You now say, wait a minute, each child is worth $18,000 to $22,000, depending on the state that you're in. And now you times that by 30,000 kids in North Carolina, and you realize, wait a minute, we don't have a teacher shortage. We have an illegal immigrant invasion, right? We don't have, we're not lacking money. That money's going to someone who isn't here paying taxes. So that's just one little microcosm that shows if you now start timesing that out by 5 million children, 10 million children, or then you spill into the adults, we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars to support people that aren't paying into the tax base. So it's a big problem. And Tom Homan and others, they're going to continue to do a great job.
Yeah, and we have a lot of work to do because that number is much higher. We had J.J. Carroll on many times, and he believes it's like 50 million illegal immigrants in this country, and that's not even talking about the ones that are on visas as well. SNAP, well, we find that 59% of all SNAP recipients were illegal aliens.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. Everyone says, oh, my grocery prices are so high. Okay, well, think about this. You've got regular Americans and tourists or whoever that are here, and we need to buy food, right? Well, now you've got an influx of tens of millions of people, and not only are we competing against them for a limited amount of food, but we're also competing against them getting free money from the government. So my money that had to go to work for 50 hours this week to collect it, and I go buy groceries, has to compete with somebody who just got a plastic card with $2,000 or $3,000 of free food money, and now I've got to compete against that to feed my own children. It's completely unfair, but you can see why they're having a hard time bringing down the price of groceries. Yeah. You've got too much free money chasing limited goods, and you still got 300 million Americans that got to eat. So it's a big problem. I wish Trump's administration luck in tackling it.
Well, Kristi Noem here, even more disturbing. Kristi Noem, I think, last week announced that there was, I believe she said 6,000 or 7,000 that illegal aliens in this country that had Social Security numbers that were on the known terrorist list. How?
Other diets, advice that goes nowhere, and even though your blood work comes out normal,
terrorist list. How does that happen?
Yeah, I tell you, it's like they wanted them all on Social Security. Elon Musk said this over on the Joe Rogan podcast. He said Social Security Administration really is the key because they keep a bunch of dead people on there that they can use for voting and bringing in illegal immigrants, right? But on top of that, he pointed out that every other system uses the Social Security database as a checkpoint. Oh, you need food stamps? Let me check you on Social Security. You need a driver's license? Let me check you on Social Security. And on and on and on with government programs. So they want them on there. But how did we get thousands of people on the terrorist watch list This is just the ineptitude of the Biden administration and the fact that they would rather have people that might vote for them in the future than to make America safe, healthy, and great again.
All right, so touch on the CDL, getting CDL licenses with literally no name given on the license.
Isn't that something? Like, hey, what's your name? My name is No Name. Sadly, some of them can't even speak English. And I've been covering this over on my show, where literally you have people from India, and they don't even know what our road signs mean. Nope. And Gavin Newsom and others, they give them a license. I believe up in Massachusetts, they were giving them this no-name license. And then these people are out on the street. And you know, I've shown videos on my channel, and they're gruesome, where you have this like 100,000-pound semi double trailer, and it just plows through like 10 cars, and then you've got all these dead Americans, and then the driver ends up living, and then they try to talk to them, hey, what happened? And they're like, I don't speak your language. I speak a language from Africa. I speak a language from the Middle East. I speak Chinese. Like, it's embarrassing, and it's hurting Americans. It's really sad.
Stephen, we have about a minute left. Can you let the His Glory Nation audience know where the hope is, and then also how they can follow you?
Yeah, I have a lot of optimism for America. I mean, I'm with Warren Buffett on this. Never bet against America. So you can catch me over on YouTube. Just search Stephen Gardner, and you'll see this face talking about my love for America. But I tell people all the time, I end my show reminding people that they are amazing. And I do that because you should never put your self-worth or your net worth in the hands of the government, right? At the end of the day, the government is there to, protect the nation, but you've got to have a great relationship with God. You've got to have confidence in yourself. Amen. But I think America is. I want to live, therefore I'm doing everything I can to make America great again.
Breaking news. He worked with the CIA. The National Guard shooter was a CIA operative that fought alongside the U.S. military against the Taliban in Afghanistan. This is crazy, folks. Then him and his wife and 5 children came over to the United States in September 2021 under Biden's program to help these Afghan nationals. This is a insane story, folks. We're talking about the 29-year-old shooter who shot 2 National Guard soldiers in the streets of Washington, D.C. He moved to Bellingham, Washington, 3,000 miles away, and then traveled across the country to assassinate or attempt to assassinate 2 National Guard troops and possibly shoot more. This is insane, and I got a GoFundMe I want to share with you from a family that took him in. It is now deleted, but I want to share about him working with the CIA, him coming to the United States, and then what authorities have to say in D.C. about this terrible, terrible, crazy case. A CIA operative, folks. Check it out. Just in, the Afghan national accused of carrying out the attack of 2 National Guard members worked with the CIA, according to Fox News. Sorry, I might have butchered his name. Reportedly entered the country in 2021 thanks to Biden's Operation Allies Welcome. And this coincides with a family that took him in. I got the GoFundMe of a family that took him in. I'm going to share with you a GoFundMe by a family in Washington State that took him and his family in. Check it out. This comes from a now deleted GoFundMe account. It raised $10,045, and it's coming from a couple in Washington State who actually brought in the National Guard shooter and his family. Check this out. Hi, this is Stan and Val, and we are fundraising for an Afghan refugee family who stayed at our home for 2 months before finding permanent rental housing in Bellingham, Washington. Ramanola and his wife, Camilla, have 5 wonderful boys, ages 11 to 2. Before being evacuated to the U.S. in September of 2021, Ramanullah served for 11 years as a member of the Afghan Special Forces alongside U.S. service members fighting the Taliban. This is an opportunity for you to help a truly wonderful family. They left Afghanistan with nothing and they need household and kitchen items of all kinds. Please give whatever you can to help them start a new life in the U.S. They are truly genuine, kind people. So that's this is the family here. These Stan and Val, and it appears here's some more. We are sending this update to all of you who generously donated to help the Afghan refugee family that lived with us for 4 months last year. They are doing very well and have a small house rented with the help of a caring landlord. Ramanullah has a job at a local hospital working in the laundry. The kids are all in public schools and the parents are taking English classes. We can't imagine the hardships that they have been through, but we think they are doing well. Thank you so much for your support. The picture below shows them with our old dining room chairs. I made new ones for us, so it was perfect to give them to our friends, Stan and Val. And it's coming from a Stanley Creighton, Bellington, Washington. Stan and Val took this guy in and his family. And now this guy ended up shooting 2 National Guard members in Washington, D.C. So it appears he traveled from Washington State all the way to Washington, D.C. Crazy stuff, folks. Now let's listen into the press conference here, giving an update of what happened.
You know, it seems like we've been here before. Is this working? Is this on? Where's... It's working?
Yeah, it's working.
All right. Thank you all for being here on this difficult day. As you know, my name is Janine Pirro. I am the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, and I am joined here by several individuals around the clock since this horrific event happened. To my left, we have the director of the FBI. We have General Leland Blanchard of the National Guard. Mayor Bowser is here as well. We have Frank Saldana of the DEA, Chris Hecht of DHS, Executive Assistant Chief Jeffrey Carroll of the MPD, Darren Cox of the Washington FBI Field Office, and a Special Agent in Charge, Samuel Ward of the ATF in Washington. Now, I want to provide you with an update on the tragic shooting that occurred on 2 brave members of the West Virginia National Guard as they served in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, today, as most families join together to give thanks for the blessings that have been bestowed upon them, 2 families are shattered and destroyed and torn apart as a result of the actions of one man. First and foremost, our hearts go out to the victims and their families. These are dedicated service members who were performing their duties in service to our nation, and they are currently in critical condition. They have undergone surgery. We pray for their well-being as they continue to be cared for in the best possible way. We have been in constant contact with their families and have provided them with every resource needed during this difficult time. The 2 National Guards men that we're talking about are Sarah Beckstrom, who's 20 years old, and Andrew Wolf, who is 24 years old. They were uniformed members of the West Virginia National Guard, and they were in D.C. to keep D.C. safe, pursuant to President Trump's executive order to make D.C. safe and beautiful. They answered the call, they took the charge, they volunteered, they put their lives on the line for people they don't even know. And that, unfortunately, is becoming a reality more and more for the members of law enforcement. Yesterday on Thanksgiving Eve at approximately 2:15, near 17th and I Streets in the northwest section of the district, near the Farragut West Metro Station, 2 uniformed guardsmen were ambushed in a brazen and targeted attack. A lone gunman opened fire without provocation ambush style, armed with a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. One guardsman is struck, goes down, and then the shooter leans over and strikes the guardsman again. Another guardsman is struck several times. Fellow guardsmen who were there responded immediately, engaging the suspect, neutralizing the threat, and subduing to a local hospital where he remains, as we speak, under heavy guard. Thanks to the swift and coordinated response of the National Guard, additional victims were harmed and the scene was secured within minutes. The suspect has been identified as Ramanullah Lakhanwal, a 29-year-old Afghan who entered the United States under Biden's Operation Allies Welcome, a program following the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. He resided in Bellingham, Washington, with his wife and, we believe, 5 children. And we're working very closely with our federal partners, especially DHS and the FBI, to review his immigration history and the vetting process itself. What we know about him is that he drove his vehicle across country from the state of Washington with the intended target of coming to our nation's capital. As we stand here today, the charges that are appropriate right now are 3 counts of assault with intent to kill while armed, a violation of DC Code 22-401 and DC Code 22-4502. He will also be charged with possession of a firearm during a crime of violence. He faces 15 years under the assault with the intent to kill. We intend to continue monitoring what the charges will be, depending upon the well-being of the guardsmen. We are praying that they survive and that the highest charge will not have to be murder in the first degree. But make no mistake, if they do not, that will certainly be the charge, murder in the first degree. The Department of Justice, under Attorney General Pam Bondi, is committed to a thorough and an impartial investigation where we will hold this perpetrator accountable under the full weight of the law. Now, Sarah and Andrew volunteered. They came here to protect the people of the district, pursuant to a crime emergency that President Trump rightly declared in this city and in other cities across the country. Our nation's capital should not and must not be a place where evil comes to commit violence, whatever their cause or motive may be. We should not have to live in fear in the nation's capital, especially by one who came here from a foreign country. And through a process that was so absurd that he came through and released into this country, as many were, knowing virtually nothing about his vetting. This is what happens in this country when people are. These guardsmen and all who are here to protect the district are the line that separates a civilized society from a barbaric one. They are the ones who stand for law and order. This was not just an attack. It was a direct challenge to law and order in our nation's capital. And the individual will be made fully accountable. And though it seems that we have been here before, under President Trump, make no mistake, and the Attorney General, we will not allow this to be normalized. It will be confronted, condemned, and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Now, my message to the individual who committed these acts is you picked the wrong target, the wrong city, and the wrong country, and you will be sorry for the violence and the evil that you perpetrated in our nation's capital. And now I call upon the Director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
Thanks, Judge. I'll begin my remarks and my remarks the same way, with prayer for our fallen soldiers, prayer for our law enforcement community, prayer for our National Guardsmen and women, prayer for our brave prosecutors at the Department of Justice and the offices of the D.C. United States Attorney. We must come together as a nation, especially on this Thanksgiving Day, and remember the sacrifices that so many are making around the world and around this country. Administration. I'll provide an update on the case as follows. It is an ongoing investigation of terrorism. Make no mistake about it. The FBI is leading out on this federal assault on a federal law enforcement officer investigation on many fronts. We immediately, with our law enforcement partners in the Metropolitan Police Department and the interagency, secured the scene, seized the weapon, sent in our evidence response team immediately to collect evidence, and started doing block by block canvasses. We are looking for and interviewing witnesses. The firearm and other materials have been sent to our Quantico laboratory already yesterday for immediate analysis. That work is ongoing. Partnering with the D.C. United States Attorney's Office, we have also executed multiple search warrants around the country to include the subject's last known residence, which is in the state of Washington. The search warrant was executed on that house last night or early this morning, and it is an ongoing process. All the individuals found in the house have been interviewed, and some interviews remain ongoing. We will not stop until we interview anyone and everyone associated with the subject, the house, and every piece of his life. There's also subject interviews relations conducted in San Diego pursuant to our ongoing investigation. So, as the judge noted, this is a coast-to-coast investigation being led right here in Washington, D.C., and this subject definitely did pick the wrong country. And we will rise together as a nation to show the world what we do here. Yeah. And we are thankful that we have the Attorney General's brave leadership and President Trump's brave leadership and priorities to safeguard our communities. I also spoke to Director. There is confirmation now that the subject had a relationship in Afghanistan with partner forces. We are fully investigating that aspect of his background as well, to include any known associates that are either overseas or here in the United States of America. That is what a broad-based international terrorism investigation looks like. We will provide continuous details to the American public while at the same time not jeopardizing the ongoing prosecution to ultimately hold this perpetrator accountable in our courts of law. We will provide as much transparency as possible, but as you can see, the breadth and scope of this investigation will continue. We will continue to hit the streets and hit every town and every house and talk to every witness. The men and women of the FBI and the Metropolitan Police Department and the interagency, to include the Department of Homeland Security, DEA, and ATF, are working tirelessly on this Thanksgiving Day. And I know just by talking to the leaders behind me that instead of going on and being with their families, everyone rogered up and showed up to work today. And none of them want to go home. That's the resolve that we have together as a team to bring to you justice for this heinous act of terrorism here in our nation's capital. And as the judge said, we will ensure that our law enforcement partners are out there in full force to make sure the world can enjoy our nation's capital. We will not let this heinous act of violence prevent people from visiting our beautiful nation's capital. Mm-hmm. And we will also continue to highlight any evidence that we can in this country for one reason and one reason alone, because of the disastrous withdrawal from the Biden administration and the failure to vet anyway, in any way, shape, or form, this individual and countless others. And this administration has taken the rightful step to stop any further allowance of people with this similar background into the country. And we're thankful for that. And as I said, this investigation remains ongoing. And I think I'll turn it over to General Blanchard of the National Guard now. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. All across America this morning, families are waking up, spend the day with their children, their brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, friends from across the community. There will be the smell of turkey, full of fixings. They'll watch parades, football games. They'll pray together. Talk about what they're grateful for. This morning, there are 2 families that will not have that opportunity. Andy and Sarah's families spending in the days coming, they'll reflect on and think about what could have been, what might be. Because regardless of the outcome, we know that their lives, their families' lives are all changed forever. Because one person decided to do this horrific and evil thing. And all across America, we are also reminded that there are many law enforcement agents, first responders, soldiers, service members all around the world who at best will come home, eat some cold turkey, open up Tupperware, eat what's left over, because they spent the day defending the American ideals. Out there and getting after it on every American citizen's behalf. I will say that the District of Columbia National Guard, this task force, is more committed this morning to the president's directive to make D.C. safe and beautiful. Resolve will be tested. It is being tested, but make no mistake, each and every one of these soldiers and airmen will meet and exceed. They are, in fact, America's best. I'm proud of each and every one of them. Pray for each and every one, in particular for these 2 young service members who are willing to go above and beyond and pay whatever price our nation asks of them. I ask every American today to keep them in their thoughts and prayers as you go about your day. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Mayor, where's Mayor Bowser? Yeah.
Thank you, Judge. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C., and I want to associate myself with the remarks of our Adjutant General from the D.C. National Guard. I want to be very clear what the judge and everyone has reported here. Somebody drove across the country, came to Washington, D.C. to attack America. And the person will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. These young people should be at home in West Virginia with their families.
ATF, anybody? DHS? Anyone? Okay. I also want to say that both Sarah and Andrew, I believe, were sworn in less than 24 hours before they were shot on the street in Washington. Any questions?
I think they need death penalty.
You know, as the directors indicated, this is a fluid investigation. People are working around the clock. It's too soon to say what the motive is, but there are definitely areas that we're looking into, but not ready to say.
Can you characterize a little bit about how the assailant was taken down after he opened fire?
Yeah, he got shot by another guardsman, yeah.
You mentioned earlier that he had the shooter had initially shot one of the guardsmen, then leaned over as they were on
shot him again.
Shot again.
Yep.
How many shots are we?
Well, the specific number. Look, he had a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. Okay, so I believe that's a 6-shooter. Yeah. So you know, that kind of tells us how many shots he had. Yes.
Judge, you had mentioned we've been here before because we have. It was May when we were last here.
Yeah.
I want to ask if you could please comment to, obviously, we understand that you're saying this is under the Biden administration, and the words are that it was a failed withdrawal, and what happened there. There are people who are also upset with the president believing that the National Guard members should not even have been there if it were not for the executive order.
I don't even want to talk about whether they should have been there. We ought to kiss the ground and thank God that the president said it's time to bring in more law enforcement to make sure that a city that had the 4th highest homicide rate in the country was that violence was quelled. I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah,
A
seriously.
question for Director Patel. Was the suspect granted asylum? And if so, when did that happen? Under which administration? And did authorities miss any signs, either in the asylum process or even back when he reportedly worked for the CIA? If you could talk about that.
Well, you miss all the signs when you do absolutely zero vetting. And that's exactly what happened in this case. When you, in the prior administration, made the decision to allow thousands of people into this country without doing a single piece of background checking or vetting, that's how you miss every single sign. And Secretary Kristi Noem has put out details specifically related to your other questions, so I'll let that speak for themselves.
If or when he was granted asylum, if you could just clarify that timeline and...
Yes, I believe Kristi Noem put that out, and that's a DHS matter, and I'll refer to them.
Could you elaborate on the investigative steps that were taken in San Diego? You mentioned Bellingham, Washington, where you live, but could you explain the San Diego connection?
So what happened was, thanks to the quick investigation by the interagency and the FBI, we were able to track down his last known residence, working with the United States Attorney's offices here and at the Department of Justice and prosecutors across the country. We were able to serve search warrants literally overnight and through the night.
All night.
And we were able to hit the house in Washington State. During that process, we seized numerous electronic devices to include cell phones, laptops, iPads, and other material that is being analyzed as we speak. Pursuant to that investigation and any known associates of the subject and of that house is how we ended up in San Diego, where interviews were conducted and are going to be continued to be conducted. And we will go anywhere in the country or the world where the evidence leads us.
Are there accomplices, relationships in San Diego you can talk about?
All of that is an ongoing investigation.
Who were injured, you say critical condition. Can you give anything beyond that? Are they expected to make it? Is it touch and go? Can you tell us a little more about how they're doing?
And the full spelling of their names, please.
It is Sarah Beckstrom, Beckstrom, and Andrew Wolfe with an E, Wolfe. Okay, and Sarah Beckstrom.
How do you spell Sarah?
Oh, S with an H. Okay. Now, with respect to their medical condition, as I said, they are receiving the finest medical care. Their families are with them now. They are critical. I think you understand the meaning of that. It's not clear, how this is going to end up. But let me be perfectly clear about how it will end up in this office. If one of them is to pass, and God forbid that happens, this is a murder one. Period. End of the story. We are praying on a day like today when families come together in America and they hold hands around the Thanksgiving table. I beg you, I beseech you to pray for these two young people that they survive. Okay. I think that's it. Yeah.
Gabbard said that
Thank you, everybody.
He was a radical Islamist Afghan terrorist.
Yeah, we're not going there.
Do you have
We're not going there.
information on how he might have gotten radical?
No. Thank you.
The decision not to charge him as a terrorist?
What about the asylum?
Definitely need to start vetting these individuals that come across the United States, whether it's through the southern border or through a variety of programs.
Yeah.
Refugee programs, TPS, CBP1 apps, all those things definitely needs reformed, and all these individuals need to be looked at extensively. None of them got vetted, especially after the debacle that happened in Afghanistan with the withdrawal of the U.S. troops. All these Afghan nationals came over. Who are these people? Who are these people? Well, we'll learn more about this guy right here, but I wanted to share that information. Let me know what you think. Be safe out there, praying for our National Guard troops, praying for law enforcement. The attack on law enforcement continues to happen. Now National Guard troops, Border Patrol, ICE, DHS agents, they're all targets from these wackadoodles. What's happening here, folks? What's this? Is this the CIA doing this? Is there a shadow government out there that is, programming these people to take out certain people in the United States? Look, what happened with President Trump? 2 assassination attempts. One, a guy linked to Ukraine. Another one, Thomas Crooks, we still don't know about. Scary times, folks. JLR investigates. We will talk soon. Stay tuned.
Okay, guys, we have one more.
This is what happened, guys.
What's up, guys? Spenny, pride comes before destruction. We have learned that wisdom from the scriptures, and it has been proven true every second of every day that we've been covering politics, and those who think of themselves as untouchable or way smarter than they actually are the ones who are often destroyed. You can see that in everything from the Epstein files, all the way to the Clinton family, all the way to those who are trying to charge President Trump with made-up crimes, like, for instance, in Georgia, where Donald Trump simply objected to an election result that was clearly fraudulent. Water pipes burst, bags of ballots were found, shoved through the machines. Nobody had any records of what was happening, and quite frankly, there's an enormous amount of proof that true and actual fraud did occur in Georgia. That election was shady as hell. Joe Biden did not win Georgia, and Donald Trump had every right to object to it. He was charged with crimes because of that, for noticing, and then given an epic mugshot, which was a wild backfire. That mugshot was, they gave him a rap album, is what they did. But nonetheless, was an annoying process. Clearly cost tens of millions of dollars, took Donald Trump off the campaign trail. That was the point of all of it. The process is the punishment. And that process is now over today, as the entire case has been for me, it's very sad because this was the most entertaining of timelines. Fani Willis, again, is just one of these people who is dumb. He's a very low IQ individual. But the worst kind of people on earth are not high IQ individuals who think they're dumb or are humble, but low IQ individuals who think they're smart. All right? These are the worst kind of people on earth. Know your station in life, right? And be okay with that. But people like Fani Willis, they think they're so much smarter than they really are. So they make comments like this.
I'm so tired of hearing these idiots call my name as Fanny in a way to attempt to humiliate me. Because like silly schoolboys, the name reminds them of a woman's rear.
Matt, all these local cases like Fanny. It's spelled Fanny. It's spelled Fanny like your ass, right?
Oh my, how the mighty have fallen. It was an incredibly entertaining time. Remember, Fani Willis was taken off the case because they found out that she was banging the chief prosecutor, a guy named Nathan Wade.
To a cabin with Miss Willis ever.
Ever.
All the time we've been together, thought a thing would last forever. Through we never left us sad. Now it's all gone soft, getting worse by the hour. Let's break up.
No.
You've never gone to a cabin with this?
No.
They're the best. This is the best timeline. President Trump then roasting them.
Indicted by Fanny in Georgia. Fanny. How did that work out? And her lover, Nathan Wade. And they hired him for almost $1 million because of his great experience. Of course, he didn't have any experience. He had experience in something else. You know that.
Experience in something else. Well, they were taken off the case, and they promised that they weren't a couple, but now here in the LA airport, you can see Fanny, and Nathan Wade carrying her bags like a complete schlep. What a sad, miserable couple.
You're both a litard, man.
Flomping through the airport in their pajamas. My, how the mighty have fallen. President Trump, total and complete exoneration here. Georgia prosecutor who took over the 2020 election interference case, Pete Skandalakis, who took over the case, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, was disqualified, said that the case was without precedent. Oh, yeah, baby. You love to see it. A Georgia judge ended the sprawling 2020 election interference case against President Trump and his co-defendants after a prosecutor who took it over said he was dropping the charges. The decision, the Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee, came shortly after prosecutor notified the judge that he would not be proceeding with his charges. He took over the case after Fani Willis was disqualified. In my professional opinion, the citizens of Georgia are not served by pursuing this case in full for another 5 to 10 years. He says that the case does not serve the interests of justice and promote judicial finality. Ooh, baby. It's beautiful. Look at this, though. Look at what Fani gave us. Mugshot. Come on, baby. I mean, on some levels, you got to be thankful for this mugshot.
That's right.
The decision is not guided by a desire to advance an agenda based on my beliefs and understanding of the law. Trump defense lawyer Steve Sadow said on the statement, the political prosecution of President Trump disqualified DA Fani is finally over. The case should never have been brought. Impartial prosecutor has put an end to this lawfare. Right. They should now sue Fani Willis.
Banner.
You know, for real.
Remember that in President Thars.
In a 22-page memo explaining the reasoning for the decision, the prosecutor noted the entire case is without precedent and pointed in part to the challenges of trying the case against a sitting against the president. Got it. Georgia drops 2020 election case against Trump. Allies. New prosecutor declines. There it is.
Yeah.
CNN literally crying on air over it. Look at the expression of CNN of this breaking news. Sorry. Yes, he's dismissed all of it.
Dismissed.
Fani Willis took President Trump's mugshot, and all she did was help him get reelected president. Case dismissed, witch hunt over. Fulton County DA Fani Willis must face accountability for her corruption and unlawful weaponization against President Trump and his supporters. She severely harmed a lot of good people in her bogus prosecutions of objecting to the presidential election, which is allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887. And that's why Democrats didn't face charges for objecting to Republican presidential wins. Fani took our country to the brink. She belongs in prison. Good. Do that next. Wonderful news. Congratulations to David and Jeff Clark and everybody who's targeted by this farce. This farce is finally over. I'll have more to say. I hope that you all sue Fani Willis. Poor Fani, I hear she's getting the Grey Goose hard right about now. Remember her talking about how much she loves Grey Goose?
Okay.
Election interference case. Dismissed. Totally huge.
I know you're a litard, dear buddy.
Twin. Should have never been brought. Without precedent. To sue the president. As a victory for POTUS, Fani Willis' politically motivated prosecution is dead. Should never have been filed in the first place. Case dismissed. Hallelujah. You can thank one woman for this. Ashley Merchant, who followed a hunch all the way to the disqualification of the prosecutor in the entire case, saving the Trump and many others ruthless political lawfare. That's exactly right. Do you think that making the perpetrators of obviously egregious lawfare accountable, step back to sanity, make Fani Willis, her shadow puppet masters, and her minions criminally or at least civilly pay liable for the torture she put the president through? Make this scum pay is what everybody's saying. Lawfare must have consequences. Jack Smith failed and Trump is in the White House. Fani failed. Trump is in the White House. Alvin Bragg failed. Trump is in the White House. James fails. Trump is in the White House. They have to pay for their crimes. Yeah. Good Thanksgiving. And it's up.
Yep.
And it's gone. This is one step towards justice. But justice is not complete. Fani Willis and Nathan Wade have to be indicted by Pam Bondi and the DOJ. Great questions. Great questions for an interview sometime soon.
Election interference case against President Trump, tossing every charge against him and several co-defendants brought by District Attorney Fani Willis. It is the same case that gave us this iconic 2023 mugshot of then candidate Donald Trump. Correspondent Christina Coleman has the details, and we know that mugshot lives in the White House now. Christina?
It sure does. You know, Pete Scandalakis, a newly appointed prosecutor on this case, killed all the charges against Trump and the other co-defendants. Scandalakis took over the Georgia election interference case after Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis was disqualified over her alleged affair with the special prosecutor she appointed. In his memo explaining the reasoning for his decision, Scandalakis wrote, severing President Trump from the remaining defendants and conducting separate trials while simultaneously waiting for the conclusion of his term and addressing all of the aforementioned legal issues would be both illogical and unduly burdensome and costly for the state and for Fulton County. After the prosecutor's filing, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee dismissed the entire case against Trump and his co-defendants. President Trump was asked whether he was tracking this case during a recent press gaggle on Air Force One, and he did not seem worried or bothered by it at all. Take a listen.
Willis case? I think so. I can't imagine it. I thought that case was over. I was told that case was totally over.
Well, it's over now. President Trump's lead Georgia defense attorney released a statement on the charges getting dropped today. He said, quote, the political persecution of President Trump by disqualified DA Fani Willis is finally over. This case should never have been brought. A fair and impartial prosecutor has put an end to this lawfare. Also under Georgia law, if a case is dismissed because a prosecutor is disqualified, the accused can recoup attorney's fees, which could be millions of dollars in this case. So we'll see if Trump's lawyer pursues that as well.
What does this one?
Get paid up 2 days earlier with Credit Union One, the official banking partner of Notre Dame Athletics. All you need to do is open a seat.
This one longer? No.
Dark days in Washington, D.C. on lockdown after a murderous ambush.
I watched this early. Excuse me, sorry. So let's go through a little ride, man. We're gonna see. Hold on, get this here. Yeah, let's go for a little ride. We gotta see what's going on. You know, I care. I care, man. Oh, no, I just want to go see what's going on around here. First, we just gotta shut the other one off, and then we'll get going. But, yes, I mean, the thing is, there's just a lot of crazy things going on these days, and we do need to keep praying, people. I mean, you got this young lady that 24 hours, and this happens. This young lady, I know for a fact that she has died. Rest in peace to her. The other gentleman, I'm not sure yet. All I know that last I heard he was still in the hospital fighting for his life. I don't know if he is gone yet. I hope not. But I think what should happen is that he should get the death penalty. That's what it should happen. I hope he does. I hope that he gets a death penalty, because that's what needs to happen, man. Alright. Let's go to done with the snow. Yes. Let's go to done. I gotta crack my window a little bit to get some fresh air, because I don't like being hot, everybody. It's just something that sucks. You get a little foggy on the windows there, man. They got the plows out, they got the machines out. It's a little fun today. Excuse me. Alright, come on. No, you'll be fine. He sees you. He ain't gonna run you over. Get for left lane if you have to. Oh, people, seriously. He's backing up. Get over to the left lane. Like this here. Watch. He's okay with you getting this way. Okay, you got another drive. That's all. People, seriously. Another drive. Very simple there. I'm driving a car, man. I don't got traction control. Well, you gotta use common sense. Right, let there's common sense. It's very important these days. There we go. There you go. Turn, they go. Turn, turn, turn. Oh. I love the snow, actually. If I ever move, I gotta move somewhere there at least there's still snow. Because I love it. I love snow. So what's going on, everybody? How we doing today? How was the weather by everybody else? Got snow here in Illinois. But the one thing I did see that I would bring attention to you, Jericho. Illinois has tests for people who are non-citizens that were not required to have a driver's license. That are not required. If you're not a citizen, you're not required. That was something I seen today. I hope that's not true, but that's what I seen. I still not take a look at them more because that makes no sense to me. Well, the United citizens are not required to have a DL license. But what kind of stuff is this here? You guys know I do not read chat while I'm driving. Safety first. Okay? When I come to a stop sign or light, I will read the chat. Meantime, I'm going to be driving safe. I believe in safety first. And I love my light, and I love everybody else's light too. When I heard that, like, really? United citizens are not required to have a DL in Illinois. So I gotta look into that. I gotta see if that's actually true, because that's gonna suck. Alright, we got a red light! Red light! Alright. Oh, good. I'm glad if it's legit, I'm glad that you went out there, buddy. Because no one contacted me about it, so I had things to do. Maybe you're actually my live stream, maybe you would know that. You know, because I have a life. And, I can't be out there all the time. I just hope that everybody else don't cower out on the first. I hope that everybody does show up there. You gotta show some love and support. We know it's called the Libtard Court Day. It's what's called Libtard Court Day. Yeah, exactly at 1:30. Libtard Court Day. So it is what it is. We're gonna make America great again. We're gonna make Chicago safe again. And we're gonna continue making everybody safe again. But American people, you just gotta get up off your hind ass and get out into your part, man. You know, because it's very disappointing that I see that hearing from other people from other states, because they're not getting involved. Not getting involved. All you want to get involved when it's convenient for you. They work that way in life. So, if we do lose everything that's going on, our freedom, it's on you guys. Don't blame nobody else. Blame yourself. Oh, come on, car. I hate to have to pass you guys up, man. And I'm driving a car. Seriously, come on. You know, I just don't understand people. You know, the thing is, number one, everybody was there, should have been going to court. Everybody was there, should be out there too. Number one, everybody was there. So, meantime, we're going to make America great again. We're going to make Chicago safe again. And FJB, FK, you know, fuck Kamala Harris, and Brandon Johnson too. All of them. I don't care. I say how I feel. Oh, look at you, truck. Come on. I got idiots behind me. I want to drive. What do you got there? You got a Ram? A Dodge Ram. Go ahead, go to your Walmart. You might need to get yourself a bag of salt there, kiddo. A bag of salt will help you for traction, man. Put it on the ground. He's on their brakes, man. I hate this. I mean, it's snow, but still. Alright, let's get over one. We got a green light. Green means go. Let me stop there, people. You look thirsty to it by now. If you drive. Oh, we got a red light. We have got a red light. But it means that we can read the chat as long as it's red. But if it changes, I can't. Oh man, it's a certain green. No, I can't do it now. Can't do it. All I can do is drive. All I can do. I think we need to make a left here. Come on, let's go. You know, why are you scared of snow? Ain't that bad. I love it. I just don't like people driving because you were stupid drivers on these days. That's what you got to worry about. You got to worry about stupid drivers, man. Well, no way contact me. Bad line. You know, you have my phone number. You gotta contact me. Very simple. You gotta call me. And I'm a busy man. I got things to do today. Come on, let's go. It's green light. It ain't yellow. Whee. Better watch this car. He don't know how to drive, I guarantee. He's gonna be stuck. Come on, buddy. Let's see you drive. That's right, Jericho. That's all they drive is a damn scooter. That's all they have to drive. Come on, it's green. It ain't yellow. Oh boy, we gotta grab the traction there. Man. If there was a guard behind me, the safety was go a little faster. They knew they had control. They may have a little control there. Let's see. Alright, bye-bye. I know, you're a little, it's a little underground, man. You guys don't know how to drive right now. You guys from the north or what? You stay on your side there, kiddo. I come past you. Oh, we gotta go over the bridge here. Oh boy. You know, here we go. Just long as you get over the bridge, man, we're good. Just long as nobody makes these weird turns, man. They cut it in front of you. Oh, we got a red light. Now time to slow down just a hair. And we gotta grab a little traction to the ground. Gotta kiss the rubber to the Oh, now we got a green light. You guys understand, man? I really do. I love stuff, man. I love it. I just wish I had a big truck. I would love to have that big truck, man. But even had a 4x4 truck, man. it's not always guaranteed that you can get out. You can actually drive it. You know, you can still get stuck in the snow, but you just gotta pay attention. That's all. Hiccups. But how's everybody doing today? Ooh, you guys know I don't read chat when I'm driving, but as soon as I get a chance to, I will look at it. We got a red light. Ooh, look at a red light. We got a red light. But I got a feeling by the time we get there, it might be green. I don't know, man, because there ain't many cars right now. A lot of people are scared to drive. A lot of you are actually scared to drive. The first time you see snow, because technically this is this will be the second day of snow. So I don't get why people are actually scared, man. I don't really mind it. Just when you're driving, it's the people behind you that don't know how to drive. Or people in front of you too. Well, more you gotta watch who's behind you, because when they're behind you, you guys gotta worry about them hitting you. I mean, one that in front of you can kind of see right away. You know if they're losing control. But they got the salt trucks out, so they're hitting it really harder now because it was really bad early. It was really bad early. Hello, officer. How we doing? We got the cops out today. That was the second cop, man. Yo, Smokey the Bandit is out there. Oh, we got a red light. We got a red light. Come on. We're almost there. This car is going to turn right in front of me. You can tell it in the turn lane. Alright, we got a red light. Hello! How you doing, everybody? How you doing? Oh, yeah. I'm gonna say that one officer, he's probably gonna be down here at the corner. He was there early, so I got a feeling he's gonna be there again. There must have been a really bad area early. I don't know. Maybe. I do gotta go do code yellow, but now we're down. I can hold it. Yeah, I think that officer that was in the he's parked in the shopping center. Got a feeling he'll be there again. Oh, we got a red light again? Oh, yes. I love it. Oh. Did he move? Did he move? Oh, he's right there. There he is. I knew he'd be there. He's got a covered intersection there. See, when you live here in the Windy City, you gotta use the snow. Now, if you were living in Pennsylvania or out that way, yes. That way it would be, you really need to get a big truck out that way, because I heard it gets really bad up there with snow-wise. I know there's somebody I know in New York. They said they get a lot of snow there. So, I mean, I would have to, if I went to New York, stop sign. There we go. There we go. I just did a whole circle around the whole race through this one area. The whole circle came back this way. I don't know why I went like that. Because I was bored. I think so. Alright, come on, light. Let's go. It's turning green. But I want to know that that's true or not. I really want somebody to look it up for me. I want to see if Illinois, if that is true, this whole, if you're not a citizen, you are not required to have a DL. If you're not a citizen, you're not required. That's what I heard. Yeah, I care about the gas there, buddy. Let's see what we can do. Oh, we got 2 couple cars here. Oh, we got an interloader here. Let's see if I can. How you doing? What happened?
Yeah, I just got a flat. You know, I have trouble with my jack. That's all. You do with stuff like that, or a pump jack?
I do. I'm a roadside service guy. I can do it.
You do?
I can do it for you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be in charge for it. I can do it. See what we gotta see how bad it is first.
Yeah, sure. I got my spare.
Because I don't want to tell you a number and then with more than.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
Sorry about that.
You going cold?
From Texas?
Yeah, from San Antonio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was a long drive.
I guess I already loosened the bolts. You loosened the bolts.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people put the spare on and it's not good. Ready? And that's why you don't know, you gotta turn it off. And that's why I'm on, Lifters. I know you're gonna miss me. Hold on.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I don't like carrying the dark out because I can pick up a stone with that. Yeah.
And it kills your gas. No problem, buddy. So if you were, I'll be there. Give me some minutes. I'll give something. Okay. All right. So it looks like I have a job at JLB to go do. You know. Guess what I gotta do? I gotta end the live stream. Because you know why? Because I gotta go make the money. Because, you know, I gotta pay my... You guys enjoy it. God bless y'all. Oh, Mark. Yep. So you guys all enjoy. Oh, look at that. We got something in the right-hand corner. That's kind of dumb. That's how you get hit. That's how you get hit. All right. So I got March 17, I seen before return. So let me let you guys all go so I can go do my stuff. I gotta go get a big tool. It's a heavy thing I gotta go get. And then I got, plus I got the code yellow too, man. So I am never going to stop. Nothing will stop me. So Adios. I gotta go. Adios. Because I gotta go. Gotta go.